Okay, this is how to do woodworking in making in my particular model here, Trench Works. And if you notice right here, these are the beams that I'm going to make a covered way here. And these are the beams. This is what a piece looks like after I stain it a little. And I've cut grooves in here so that you can see that these things will fit quite easily in there. And like this, okay? And I'll show you the entire piece now and where that particular, oops, sorry about that, and where that fits, which is right about there. Okay, that's the entire work. Now eventually, besides these, which I will cover with wood, I'm going to have to put a lintel here, okay? But here's how you make the wood. You take a piece of stick. I happen to have a table saw, so I cut it, and then I can cut it into different lengths, as I did here with a simple X-Acto. Don't do that on a nice tablecloth. And the other tool I'm going to use is a simple serrated steak knife, okay, which you can get like at the dollar store for about $1. That's why they call it the dollar store. And I'll trim perhaps this so that it doesn't look quite so rough, although sometimes it's good to leave. And now let me come back to the camera, being my own cameraman, trying not to kick the tripod. And I'm going to show you how I do that. So what I'll do is I'll take a piece of stick, and I want it to look like it's hewn, okay, like hewn wood. So you simply go, you do this part first, and actually milled wood would not have this this dramatic of a, make it look like axes cut it. That would probably be really more in line with frontier forts and stuff. However, some of the building woods that we used to make the trenches, when it wasn't new, probably would have been old wood taken off of buildings and such. So as you can see, I'm simply hewing this with, you can see the little chips there, and I go like this, and I do it along so that the beams aren't quite square, okay? So I take some of that squareness off, and then I go like this, trying not to always cut away from yourself. And I like to take the edge of this and to make it so that it's not quite so square. So I'll trim that like that. And it gives it what a friend of mine used to call the Disney factor, even though it's probably a little more compared to the scale of a 20 millimeter figure or 1/72, or even a 28 millimeter figure. You know, it's a little extreme, but you want a lot of character and detail in the wood. And once you've done that, and as you can see, I've hewn this. And all you do is put this down here like this, and you go like that. And you can do it also like this, using your thumb to push against the blade. So it gives a very nice grain to the wood. Now, you can find it Harbor Freight in different places. See, also, let me digress here a minute. See, I don't know how, I'll show you a close-up of this after I'm done. But basically, at Harbor Freight, what I was going to say, you can do it with round dowels too. They have a little machine, well, it's not a machine, it's a plate, and you can cut grooves into your wood. And finally, okay, this is what this will look like painted, and then I'll stain it again with a darker color to bring out these grain stains. So then I would just put this in there, and now my next thing is I will put a deck on here, which I'll do later. But let me get a close-up of what that hewn wood looks like, hopefully. I hope you could have seen some of that. Okay. Basically, as you can see here, there's a grain in that wood, okay? And there is here too. And the ends can be rough cut, and they don't have to be, they could even be like this, as you can see here, that it's, you know, not perfect. You don't want it perfect. If it were perfect, then it probably wouldn't exist. Although they could do some very, very nice woodworking and stuff. And so what you do though, all you need is a serrated steak knife purchased at the dollar store, an X-Acto knife, which you use always cutting away from yourself, a piece of dowel that might look like this, okay? I cut them on my tables 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch, and then as I said, you would just put your thumb against this, and if you do it in short stints and then stop, I don't know how well you can see that, it looks more realistic. And what it does is it looks like aged wood as opposed to really cut wood, and that gives you, that way you'll have a less equal pattern, because wood is not always straight, okay? And you don't want it to look too straight. You want continuity by doing, see the way I push my thumb against there, and it doesn't take a lot. And this is birch or pine, so it's not the softest wood. Balsa wood probably would work even better, although that has a tendency to peel on you. So now let me take this off the tripod. Again, forgive my clumsiness, but I don't have a person to help me, a cameraman. And let's go back here. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Okay. So again, now just in case that first part didn't work, you can see here, even though it looks yellow, that's untouched. And this has the grain. I don't know how well you can see how I hewed that. And it has a little more detail. And again, this is, the ends don't have to be perfect. And eventually I will stain this. I don't know how much of that you can see the detail on there. Perhaps later I'll do some still photography. And this is another one unpainted. And you see how I grooved right here? I've grooved this so it fits in nicely. And I don't worry if it's perfectly square, meaning in distance from point A to point B. I worry because it wouldn't always be possible due to the terrain and such. So now one of the problems you'll have is right here. I will fill that in, and over here, right here where my little finger is, I'll fill that in with Fumo clay. In this case, with the sandbags, I use tape. I use surgical tape. I think I explained that in another video. And then I will panel both sides of the entrance here. That'll come up, and then I'll finish that interior, which you really can't see very well. Maybe if I turn the model, you can see it upside down what it looks like. And one of the things I like to do is make sure that I paint this all one color on the bottom. It just looks a little more professional when you're done. So, you know, but styrene is nice to work with. And then the shell holes I'll detail later. And I like to show, it's nice to see all this in a row and its symmetry. But then every once in a while you want like a little detail. That, like in this case, obviously the artillery has blown a hole through this. So, you know, what I do is I'll tear this up and I'll bend this a little more, and then I'll put another piece over here so that you can see that it was battered. And again, I don't like to use too much uniformity. I'm not happy with the whole thing being one straight piece, so next time maybe I'll cut a dog's leg or something. And again, the tools you need: a serrated knife, an X-Acto knife, piece of cut wood or balsa. It can be any kind of wood really. Pine is kind of hard. And then you can see some of the detail on there again to get that using that knife. And then if there's a little too much stuff sticking up here, as in this case, I might lightly sand it or with a fingernail file. And again, styrene is nice to work with because you can make nice deep holes that look like nice craters. And these are the things that give a model detail. Now, I don't know if you can see it very well, and this will be the final part. What I use is webbing from a chair or safety tape that has it's woven. It's just like waddling would be uncovered. Okay, so you can see some of the detail there. I'll get into that again later when I finish this model. And again, in this case, where the sandbags, you know, you can see the styrene, I'll put Fumo in there, or I'll paint it, so, and then you won't know. And any place where there's a crack or something, like in the duct boards, I'll put blue, so that, because there was a lot of water, and underneath this is really a little trench, okay, that you don't see. And I'll probably detail it here in this part, where the water would come down and then it would flow out of the fortification. So anyway, that's it for this, and I'll give you more details as I progress. Thank you. Bye. And this is to be used, remember, with tanks and yanks, which can be purchased on RPG Now or Wargame Vault. That's my latest set of late First World War rules. Bye.